Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ryan Bauman, and today I'm going to be speaking for the Rockwell Collins sponsored senior design team on our project with the trailing wire assembly monitoring system. To my left is our team leader, Brendan Beck, and to my right is Adrian Green, Noemi Mitchell, and Hannah Webb. Our project was to create a monitoring solution for use on military aircraft in compliance with military standards and commercial aircraft standards for a DoD project that Rockwell Collins was contracted for. The goals was to monitor or create a solution that would monitor a 2-foot diameter drogue at the end of the trailing wire assembly for distances up to 200 feet from the end of the aircraft. We also had to create a camera solution that would look at the internals for the reeling assembly that would be responsible for bringing in and extending the wire. Some of the specs that were given to us was the resolution, again, compliance with military standards and commercial aircraft standards, and size, weight, and power constraints, as well as an overall latency so that the user operating the system would have sufficient time to be able to disengage the wire if necessary. The project is actually in 5 steps. And the first was an SRR, or Systems Requirements Review, where we worked with the Rockwell Collins team to go ahead and narrow down exactly what it was that they were asking of us and what our goals would be as we move along with the project. That information went ahead and helped us to guide our process towards our next step, which was the PDR, or Preliminary Design Review, wherein we presented 2 different solutions, one a standalone HDSDI system, and another that was an Ethernet-based system that could be connected to a user workstation. At the end of our PDR presentation, Rockwell Collins went ahead and decided to go with the standalone HDSDI system, which we've been pursuing. Coming up will be the CDR, which we'll be doing next week, which is the Critical Design Review. And 2 steps after that will be the component acquisition, and once we have those, or we can't get those, test. So in some cases where component lead times or costs would be prohibitive, to complete the project, we'll be doing fall by similarity or getting test data from the vendors that would be providing those components. So as you can see here, some of the components, the user interface, the cabling, camera, and mount was, and monitor selection was done by ours. Our team, the data and power. There's a mechanical engineering team that we've been working with step by step, week by week this entire time, that's focusing on the mount and the harness and some of the environmentals as pertinent to those, their portion of the program. So, if there are any questions. Yes, sir.
So just to be clear, so what is it that you're monitoring with the device that's trailing behind the aircraft?
So behind the aircraft, there's a wire that's used for communication from the aircraft to other vehicles, and the end of the wire has a 2-foot drogue that, yes, which provides drag to go ahead and keep the wire suspended to certain angles for various reasons. And forgive me if I seem a little bit vague, but some of the details of the project are, I have to think about what I'm going to be able to say about it. I say something.
Yeah. Okay.
So basically, it's an extra long antenna.
It is.
It's like
Extremely.
World War II, they used a kite to transmit.
You can think of it that way.
And so what are you doing? What's your design goal?
Like I said, it's a monitoring solution. So really, this is a very higher level like integration and systems level project, I think, compared to many of the other ones, which we didn't know going into it that we would get this opportunity, but we knew we wanted to work on it because it's Rockwell Collins and my previous military experience was exciting to do something that might literally impact people in the defense department. Our system involves the camera,
Which is mounted to the aircraft.
yes, sir, the transmission lines all the way to the user station. And like I said, we ended up going with a standalone, so we'll be dealing with the monitor itself. And I'm not hesitating because I don't know what I want to say, I'm hesitating because what I can't say. And some processing that might occur afterwards. Sorry. You should be in meetings when we're trying to negotiate all these things.
So you are actually looking at signals coming from the antenna.
No, it's,
There is a display and a camera, and we're looking at that thing as it's behind the
see, you'll be able to tell which one is ours because it doesn't have anything in there.
We have an example of the wire. We can explain kind of how the system works in general and why it's needed in a little bit more detail, but it's kind of long and drawn out to see that it didn't want to go with that.
We actually had a vendor salesperson that came out from California, and the meeting was, can I ask what you're using it for? Can I ask what's going on? So,
We can tell you what.
yes, sir.
Can you, are you using more than one camera? It mentions looking at the reel also.
Yes, so there's two.
Yes, so there's two systems. There's a 2-camera system and a 4-camera system. One of the planes that we were tasked with working on actually has 2 trailing wire assemblies on it, which would require four cameras at that point. And then this actually just shows the picture up here actually gives like kind of a representation of the 2-wire system, and then the single wire system would only need 2 cameras at that point.
And there are also dimensions regarding the distance away from the internal assembly that we would be responsible for, and the calculations for field of view, both for the internal mechanisms and the trailing wire. Yes,
And you said you could detach the wire, correct?
I can't, no. That's something
Well,
that,
and can you just give me an example of what a situation would be in case you would actually want to do that?
So that drogue can be reeled back in at up to 2,000 feet a second, or a minute. It's 2,000 feet a minute, which is pretty fast. So if you have something that size coming back at the plane, and you're flying 250 miles an hour, however slow they end up flying when they drop those things out the back of them, they can do some serious damage to the plane.
then the other questions I can answer, yes.
I find dealing with, I've worked for a defense contractor in the past, so I've had a little experience with it as well. Being in meetings and dealing with different situations where people are allowed to know different things.
Very much so. As a matter of fact, within the same room, there would be one person who did know, or maybe something just got updated. This is a live project, so there's many details. They're working with the Department of Defense. Anyone's done that, you know, so you want to please, but there's always going to be dynamism.
Yeah, they'll stop the meeting and tell certain people to leave.
Well, in our case, they stopped the meeting and then provided clarification or asked questions amongst themselves or whatnot.
Okay, so are you float this? Are they allowed to be float this?
Yes, that comes up a lot. Or what did we tell them? Because sometimes they'll margin it out, I believe, you know. Well, we won't tell them that. We'll tell them this. That's close enough. It's been a blast. It's really been fun. Actually, I'm sorry, but since it came up, there was one time where we asked for a power budget, right? Because I was like, well, it's kind of important. It's electronics. He was there, so that's why he's laughing. And I said, can you give us a power budget? No. So I spoke to another engineer that was there, and I said, well, if, for instance, we had to spec this thing out, and I need, like, say, power budget, would you think that'd be something I should really push for and get? He said, absolutely. So I said, okay, so out of that power budget, he said 60 watts. The gentleman we were speaking to, he said 60 watts. And I wish I don't know, his name's up there, actually. He's done some really cool things, you should look at them, some of which has been in the news recently. He said 60 watts, and we walked outside in the parking lot. I'm like, oh, light bulb. So that was funny because that was negotiated.